Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Hope you're doing well. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, and we're live. It's Sunday morning, and the Sunday morning show is always a little bit different because, as I've said to you before, if you don't live in the UK, there is a traditional Sunday morning newspaper feel news that is just very focused on a Sunday in this country. So you do get very different types of stories. So we'll be talking about Koulibaly, Camavinga, Timo Werner, Bruno Fernandes, Jadon Sancho, also Tuanzebe as well, and a couple of other things, Ighalo as well. So smash a like on the video, get involved, and we'll blast through anything. We'll also be taking any of the comments you want to talk about that you've seen over the last few hours or whatever. So, and remember, tonight at 8 o'clock we've got Adam, Ricky, Saeed on. Some really interesting topics and things to discuss about there. But let's start off with, and also as well, Dortmund are playing this afternoon, 5 o'clock. Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. I've dropped the link in the video description. If you're not subscribed to that channel, get your notifications on. Jadon Sancho watch at 5 o'clock. But let's start off with, and also let's just start off with that. Bruno Fernandes on his Instagram has liked a post relating to Jadon Sancho coming to Manchester United. Now look, Jadon Sancho drank a bottle of water a couple of months ago when somebody said, "Are you coming to United?" Doesn't mean anything, but you know what? It's never a bad thing when players start interacting with players that you want to come to the club. Bruno Fernandes is one of our best players at the moment. We've seen Rashford doing it. So look, you know, the more of that, the merrier. Doesn't really mean anything at the moment because ultimately United have got to deal with Dortmund. I think we know we can get Sancho if we get top four. We know we can get Sancho. We've got to deal with Dortmund, and that is the main thing. And money is going to be the main thing in this transfer window. We saw yesterday that Icardi's going to go to PSG for about £40 million. This, to me, shows there's a drop-off in the market. Whatever you think about Icardi, there is a drop-off in the market. And if PSG are getting Icardi for £40 million, how can Napoli ask for £100 million for Koulibaly or Sancho £100 million from Dortmund? These things can't happen. People need to be realistic. So we're going to start off with some reports from Italy saying that Manchester United are always in the running for Kalidou Koulibaly. And yet again, it's Manchester United in the Kalidou Koulibaly transfer race, which I know many of you would like to see happen. And to me, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise coming out of Italy, and it's always involving Manchester United and Koulibaly. And I still sit here and say, I don't see this happening. I don't see it happening. Would I like it to happen? Yeah, you know I'm a big fan of Koulibaly. We've nearly bought Koulibaly a couple of times in the last 3 years, and I think we're almost at that point now with Koulibaly where he's probably getting that a little bit too old for us to consider buying anyway. However, I would still take Koulibaly. Is he 29 this year? I would still take Koulibaly at United because I think him and Maguire would be very, very good centre-back pairing. But what have I always said? Next to Harry Maguire needs someone with pace. Koulibaly's got pace, but approaching 30, how much is that pace going to deteriorate? So that would be my concern with Koulibaly. But I don't think United are in for Koulibaly. I don't think United have the funds to be in for Koulibaly. But what I would say about Napoli is, if you're looking to sell him, look at what Icardi's just gone for. You cannot expect anything more than 50 to 60 million pounds for Kalidou Koulibaly. At his age, in this market, if he wants to go and you're looking to sell him, you cannot be expecting more than 50 to 60 million pounds. And even that, I think, might be off-putting to Manchester United. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with the centre-back scenario. I mean, there's an interesting story coming out from Turkey. I read this on, I think it was on Sport Witness, that Besiktas are looking at Axel Tuanzebe. And I'm like, it's a very weird story to sort of mention. But on the other hand, what is the future of Axel Tuanzebe? We talk about Kalidou Koulibaly and then you talk about Axel Tuanzebe, and look, there's a world of difference between those two players, but actually when you look at the type of player that they are, is there a world of difference on what Tuanzebe could become 7-8 years younger than what Koulibaly is? He's quick, he's good in the air, he's good on the ball, he's good at reading the game. I think Tuanzebe is probably, for me, he's the one. He's the one that could really stop us having to go into the transfer market. He's the one who can naturally play next to Harry Maguire. I mean, and look, it's got the added excitement and passion, whatever the word, a positive word is, that if Tuanzebe did start playing for United, he's come through the youth setup. So that, to me, is always the ideal. It's not the necessity, but it's, I mean, look, if we went and bought Tuanzebe from, I don't know, Burnley, he's the best young centre-back in the league, and we bought him from Burnley, I'd be still very happy. But if he comes in and does well and he's part of our youth setup, it's just the cherry on the cake, really. But look, do I think Tuanzebe would be off to, I off to Turkey? I wouldn't have thought so, but as Reda Derman says, Tuanzebe is good if he doesn't get injured. He's got to stay fit. He had a very good loan at Aston Villa, as we know, but he's got to stay fit at Manchester United this season. And if he stays fit, and if Eric Bailly stays fit, then I think you've got two centre-backs there that can be the centre-back to play next to Harry Maguire. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit more tonight, actually, with Ricky, Adam and Saeed, because I know that Ricky's not a fan of Eric Bailly, but we desperately need somebody with a bit of pace next to Harry Maguire. Do I think it will be Koulibaly? No, I'd be very, very surprised. I've said before, we won't sign Koulibaly and Saul Niguez this summer, and I'll sit by that and I'll say that. I don't think we will. But look, we are always in this race for Koulibaly, which is a very easy thing to say, because if you don't win the race, doesn't mean you're not in the race. I don't think we are in the race, and I certainly don't think we'll win the race. But you know, we did bid for him a couple of years ago. That was under Mourinho. We were heavily linked to him last summer. Don't know whether that was actually true. Are we in for him now? I don't suspect that we are. Now, Mark, if we are getting Koulibaly, he wants to play for Pep and wants to become another African legend at Arsenal, says Zain Miassi. So you've sort of contradicted yourself twice there. He wants to go to Arsenal. He wants to come to City. How are you going to afford this money, Zane? I mean, I know you're loaded, but you're going to have to take a big loan out to spend it on Arsenal, or Arsenal are going to have to rob a bank, because where are you getting the money from when you are broke? This is all I'm hearing from Arsenal fans. But then again, you did get Pepe last year, and I'd been told the same thing, so maybe you are hiding a bit of money somewhere, I don't know. Just a very, very quick one on Ighalo. Remember, Ighalo, 24 hours left now. He could be out of Manchester tomorrow. His loan deal ends tonight at midnight. So tomorrow, he's a Shanghai player. He could be going back to China. I've spoken to a couple of people out there yesterday. This won't happen. I think we've seen it on social media as well. He will be announced as staying at Manchester United. Probably today, maybe tomorrow. Today makes more sense because it's today that his loan deal ends. But there is I don't say total confidence, that's the wrong word. There is a high level of confidence that Ighalo will be staying. Ighalo wants to stay, Manchester United want him to stay, and Shanghai, I don't know what their position is, but getting him back to China is not as easy as it sounds at the moment in this current lockdown. So, yeah, definitely, I think that will be announced. And that it might shock me, but I think it will be till the end of the season, which is the end of July. So it suits all parties. So that should be shouted soon. That'll be a bit of good news as well. A few other things to talk about as well. We'll talk about Timo Werner in a minute, but interesting that Camavinga, according to AS, which is a Madrid-based paper, funnily enough, they're saying that Camavinga would like to go to Real Madrid and link up with Zidane. I mean, I've got to be honest. This has always frustrated me. I'm not gonna wander into rant mood because I've got Burnley in my FIFA career mode later, so I've got to try and keep myself calm for that game. Again, link in the video description if you want to watch my FIFA career mode at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. I'm playing Burnley. I'm not gonna get into it, but there's this. I can't beat Burnley on FIFA career mode. I can beat Man City, I can beat Liverpool, but I can't beat Burnley. So it's always a big game that people like to watch, and I hate to play. So that's going to be link in the video description, subscribe, and the Sancho watch along will come straight after that if you're not aware of that channel. But this is a frustration for me, and it goes back to, it doesn't even go back to Ronaldo, it goes back to Van Nistelrooy, it goes back to David Beckham. There's always been this thing, and I think now more than ever it's irrelevant, but there's always been this thing that Real Madrid is a better club than Manchester United to go for players. Or Barcelona. Oh, it's my dream. We saw it with Ronaldinho as well. United nearly got Ronaldinho. Imagine if we'd got Ronaldinho. He went to Barcelona at the last minute. We've seen Ronaldo come into Manchester United, be one of the world's best players, and then always be, I want to play for Real Madrid, it's my dream. And he goes to Real Madrid, and he does very, very well, but they didn't love him anywhere near as much as we did. And then you've got another player here, potentially, in Camavinga. I want to go and play for Real Madrid. I think it's archaic. I think footballers need to wake up and smell the coffee. That's what I'm trying to say. This whole I want to play for Real Madrid, Barcelona thing, it needs to stop. Global warming is warming up the UK, so we're starting to get, and this is not a good thing, but we've just had a week of brilliant weather in the middle of in May. We've had, in fact, since lockdown, it's been bloody lovely. So, you know, global warming's a bad thing, but the UK is getting hotter. So all this weather thing about Madrid and Barcelona, that's a load of nonsense. On top of that, Real Madrid and Barcelona are not even that good anymore. They're not. I wouldn't even put them in the top 5 teams in Europe at the moment. For me, the top 5 teams in Europe are Liverpool, Manchester City, Bayern Munich, and I think PSG are better than Real Madrid and Barcelona at the moment as well, and then argue about who your fifth one is. It could be a team from England, it could be a team from Germany, it could be Juventus, whatever. I don't rate Real Madrid and Barcelona, and I haven't rated them for a long time, and that's been proven. Since Ronaldo left Real Madrid have become irrelevant, and Barcelona, Messi is a fantastic player, but they've bought badly around him. So I don't get why these players always want to go and play for Real Madrid and Barcelona, because it's such an archaic thing. Oh, they're the best two clubs in the world. Crap. What a load of bollocks. Scott Williams, welcome, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. But yeah, I get tired of it. I get tired of this whole Real Madrid thing. I mean, Liverpool spoke about history for 30 years. At least they're now actually doing something about that history and building something. And Real Madrid and Barcelona are always going to have the money to build something, and they're always going to have that allure. But let's not twist this about. The Premier League's the best league in the world, and the Premier League is the place that players should want to come and play. And Manchester United are one of the biggest clubs in the Premier League. Now, that's not to say that I want Camavinga. I think Real Madrid will go for Camavinga because they won't get Pogba. I don't think Manchester United are in for Camavinga. I've got to be honest. I don't think we are. And I think we all like Camavinga. Well, we all know about Camavinga. Midfielder at Rennes, if you don't know. 17, I think he is at the moment. Predicted to have a fantastic future. I don't think United are in for this sort of player, because I don't think it's the sort of player that United scout, to be honest. I don't think we look at teenagers from abroad who are going to be expensive. I think we're looking at teenagers who are not, are going to be the next best thing, which is what we've done with quite a few players. I don't think we're looking at Camavinga. I'd like us to be looking at Bakary Samari from France as well. But I don't think that we actually are. So they're saying that Camavinga, who was linked to United last week, is off to Real Madrid. But that sort of feeds into the Pogba thing. Amazon is also going to sponsor Arsenal, I was reading. 100 million a year. Arsenal Prime, here we come. How can they sponsor Arsenal when they sponsor Premier League football? That would be a conflict of interest. And R3D Devil says, considering Icardi before this market drop is 60 and after this drop is 51, there is a 15% drop in the market. So according to this, Sancho is 85 million. I think fair play, mate, for doing the maths, and I think you're right. I think at the moment Sancho's value is about 85 million quid, which goes back to what I said about 2 weeks ago. I said there's no way United will pay any more than 89 million for Sancho, and a lot of people at that time were saying 100, 110. I'd say you're right. I think Sancho's value at the moment is 85 million, and it could drop further. But I think you're right with that. Mark, if Sancho signed, how would that impact Dan James, says Sean Hunter? Not at all. I mean, we've had this chat before about signing a striker, and we'll talk about Timo Werner now, actually. But it won't impact on the. You've got to trust the process. And Solskjaer, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our manager. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a player that didn't get in the starting lineup if everybody was fit and it was a big game. He was a bench player. So he knows more than anybody how to talk to Dan James if Dan James doesn't start, because you've got Jadon Sancho. So you've got Sancho, Rashford, Martial starting. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the perfect guy to take Dan James aside and say, mate, you're so important. And I've got the evidence. For you. It's my feet. These feet scored that winning goal against Bayern Munich in Barcelona in 1999. I am a legend of Manchester United. It'll come across as a bit of a big head if he says this, but get the message across. I scored lots of important goals for United, and I'm an icon at Manchester United. And effectively, I didn't start games. I was a sub. You will start games here, but you will play your part as a bench player, as a squad player. You're very important, and that's how you become a winning side. Because you've got to have that, and you've got to keep people happy. And I think Dan James will be happy to do that. I think he will. I mean, would you rather be a squad player at Manchester United that's going to be in the Champions League and try and win titles, or would you rather be a first teamer for Bournemouth? This is the dream that you've got to sell. If you were to choose out of keeping Tuanzebe or buying Koulibaly and letting Tuanzebe go for a transfer fee, which would you choose, says Jack Berens. Well, I'll let the live comments have their say on that. Would you keep Tuanzebe or let him go and get Koulibaly? I suppose Koulibaly's the better player, but he's only going to be around for a couple of years. Tuanzebe, we don't know, but if he does become good, he'll be around for years. It's a really tough one, because Tuanzebe may never realise his talent. He may always stay injured. So I sort of get why you probably would say Koulibaly. What I would say is, if I had to choose between Tuanzebe and Koulibaly at the moment, I'd take Koulibaly because he goes straight into that team and he makes us better. But if you're telling me that Tuanzebe is going to be as good as Koulibaly in 2 or 3 years, obviously I'm going to go with Tuanzebe. But yeah. I mean, look, I believe in Tuanzebe. I think he's got the talent. He's got to stay fit. He's got to realise it. And at the moment, it's probably 50-50 which way it's going to go. George Carl says 100% Koulibaly, which I can obviously agree with. Right, let's talk about Timo Werner, because there's been some development with Timo Werner over the last few days. We had Liverpool pulling out of it because they don't want to pay the £49 million release clause and they want to pay £30 million. We've had Fabrizio Romano coming out and saying that Timo Werner wants to go to Liverpool, but he'll look at other options if they pull out. And obviously we were spoken at the start of the week about who I'd spoken to, who isn't Fabrizio Romano. I keep being asked this. It's not Fabrizio Romano. It's never been Fabrizio Romano. And I was told that United are very interested in Timo Werner and they're definitely in there if they can do a deal. So where are we at with Timo Werner, cutting through it all? I mean, there was even a story yesterday that Liverpool were now looking at a different player. I can't remember who it was, but it's not Timo Werner. I think Liverpool are in the race for Timo Werner. I think Timo Werner would prefer to go to Liverpool. I can accept that. And I don't think Liverpool want to pay £49 billion. So I think what Liverpool are trying to do is drive a bargain by driving a price down for a player that they know wants to come to their club and forcing the price down so they get him for a decent price. Do I think Liverpool will walk away if they can't get him for a decent price? I don't think they will. I think they really want this player. So I think that they will end up paying the price, which is another reason why United should hang around this deal. United should just go in and say, we will pay £49 million because we might not get him, but it will force Liverpool to pay £49 million, which is not what they want to do, which eats into their transfer budget. So Manchester United have got an important part to play here, and Chelsea if they want to get in it. Timo Werner is worth £49 million. We've just been saying that the market has dropped Jadon Sancho's price from 100 to 85 million. What arrogance do we have in England that we have a player like Jadon Sancho, who's a great talent, who is double the price of Timo Werner? Only in England would that happen. Only with English players could that happen. And he's not even playing in the bloody Premier League. Jadon Sancho's not even playing in the Premier League, but he's still getting the English tax where they're double. I mean, it's like Declan Rice for 60 million. You could get 3 players in Europe better than Declan Rice for 60 million. But it's the English tax that we put onto players. And you've got Jadon Sancho being touted at 100 million. And yet Liverpool are apparently saying we don't want to pay 50 million for Timo Werner, who's just as good. When you look, I mean, they're different positions, but he's just as exciting. He's got just the same sort of peak level. He's a little bit older, but there's not that difference in price. So if I was Manchester United, do you want Timo Werner? Well, you should do. Is he worth £50 million? Yes. Is that his release clause? Yes. Just offer the 49 million. And if we don't get him, we don't get him. But if we do get him, that's a steal. And if we don't get him and Liverpool pay £49 million, you've just forced one of your biggest rivals to pay a lot more money than they want to pay. So United have got a position to play here, and they should play it. Do you need a player like Timo Werner? Yes, we do need a striker. Is he worth 50 million? Yes, he is. Offer the bloody money, because I tell you what, you get to talk to the player, and also Leipzig will say, well, Liverpool, we've had that's the offer we're accepting because that's the release clause. We're not going anything less than that, and it forces Liverpool up. So that's where I sit with the Timo Werner thing. Look, we might not get him. We didn't get Fabinho. We didn't even bloody go for him, and we should have done, and he went to Liverpool. So look, I don't want Werner to go to Liverpool, but it looks like it could happen. But God, get in there. We need a player like that more than Liverpool do. Liverpool have got their front three. Like, we actually do need another striker. So get in that race, force the price up, and you know what? You might get the player because you show that you want him. And look, if you look at Timo Werner's comments over the last 3 years, he's always spoken glowingly about Manchester United. So get in the bloody race. I can't understand why we wouldn't be in this race. Apparently we are in the race. Well, bloody get your foot down and have a go, I think. It's my birthday. Could you say hi to my girlfriend, Carrie? Love your shows, pal, says Ollie. Hi to Carrie, and give Ollie a good birthday. Not like that. Bake him a cake, cook him a dinner. Do what you like. Make him happy. Mark, who would you take for Werner? Says Uzar. Who would you trade for Werner? Lingard, Pereira, Phil Jones, Alexis Sanchez. I mean, Leipzig might want any of those players. So yeah, I would go for that. Why would we extend Ighalo's loan until January? There's no strike in the transfer window then, says Channel 18. Yeah, I spoke about this last night. I don't want to see that happening. It was a rumour. John Haven says, next season with Sancho, Rashford, Pogba if stays, and Bruno first full season, United will be title contenders if injury free. Our 4 best players together take pool best 4 players out the season, says John Haven. Manchester United will need to get into a title race, John. Manchester United will need to be ridiculously consistent. Look at Man City and Liverpool last year. Their points tally was ridiculous. Look at Liverpool this year. Their points tally is ridiculous. You can have a great team, but you've got to then eradicate the inconsistency. You've got to eradicate the Newcastle results, the Bournemouth results, the Watford results. Like, we should have won those games anyway, and we still lost. So you've still got to eradicate those problems that Pogba might roll up to a game and be poor, that Sancho might, that Rashford might, that Bruno might. It's the team mentality that needs to learn consistency. We won't win the title next season because I'm a firm believer that you've got to go through a title race to then win a title. Look at Liverpool last year. They went through a title race, they lost, and this year they were ready. Man City did it, we did it. So I do think that United need to get rid of that consistency. Mark, players can still be top over 30-year-old. Giggs, Ronaldo, Scholes, Lampard. You are ageist, says Zane. I'm not ageist, but it's also physically proven that players lose their pace the older they get, and Harry Maguire needs somebody quick next to him. It's not just English tax, it's Man United tax. If we go in for a player, they throw 20 million on top because they know we have money. It makes transfers hard, says Sean Turner. Which is why the Timo Werner thing is such a good transfer, because it's a release clause of 49 million pounds. All I can say about Timo Werner is if he didn't have the release clause, Leipzig would want 80 million. He is a bargain in any market. I mean, look, Icardi's just gone for 40 million pounds to PSG. 49 million for Werner, it's 9 million more. And Icardi's gone for 40 million in this financial crisis transfer market. So you pay 9 million more than what Icardi's gone for and you get Timo Werner. Timo Werner's miles ahead of Icardi. Chelsea using Rudiger to get Werner. Are we underestimating Chelsea? Better style of football, good young manager and team, says Vedant. I'll come back to that. And Andrew Chow, can't wait for the Burnley game. On Ighalo, you say he probably stays until Prem is done. How about Europa League in August? Wouldn't we need him for that? Oh, that's a good point. That is a good point. But it depends what Shanghai do. I'm presuming end of July, but you do make a good point about that. Going back to the Chelsea thing there, I was on Twitter yesterday, and you can get involved on this if you didn't see it. I was on Twitter yesterday, and I said, who are the top 4 managers in the Premier League at the moment? And I had Klopp at number 1, Wilder of Sheffield United at number 2, Brendan Rodgers at Leicester number 3. And I put those two there for what they've achieved with those two clubs this season. So managers of the season this year so far. Number 4 was Pep. I think Pep's a great manager, but I don't think he's had a great season, but they are still second in the league, and I still think they could win the Champions League. And then that 5th spot was always interesting, because I think most people would go Wilder, Rodgers, Pep and Klopp, maybe in different orders to me. But who comes in at number 5? Now, don't come at me with Ollie, because I'll tell you why. I went with Lampard, and I'll tell you why I went with Lampard. I went with Lampard because Chelsea have always been top 4 all season. They've lost a ridiculous amount of games, as I said last night. They've lost over 10 Premier League games, which isn't great. But he's the best of a bad bunch. You know, Lampard is a new manager at Chelsea. It's his first full season. He had a transfer ban, and he's not bought anybody. He lost the best player in Eden Hazard. He's had to get by with a lot of youth players and a limited options up front, and he still kept them in 4th place in the in the Premier League. So as of now, I think Lampard is a better manager than everybody else, and he would be in the top 5. It worries me, and also I think Lampard's style of football is better than ours. But we've beaten him, and I'm not dismissing Ollie. Ollie's done a fantastic job against Lampard, but they are still above us, and they play a better brand of football. And he did lose his best player, and he is new in the role, and he did have a transfer ban, and he has promoted youth to his senior team very, very well. I do worry about Chelsea, what happens when they spend money, because that, to me, is not a bad foundation. And I know Chelsea fans who don't really rate Lampard, but I look at it as an outsider and I go, I don't think you've got a bad foundation there. He's proven he can play youth. He's proven he can play a good brand of football. He's done it with a transfer ban and without Hazard, and you're in the top 4. So, and Chelsea have always been brilliant. Well, the most important part of what I'm saying here is Chelsea have always been brilliant at transfers throughout the last 20 years. They've been brilliant at it. So imagine if they did get a Timo Werner. I mean, why would Werner not go to Chelsea? They've got London, which is always an attraction. Champions League football, probably. An exciting team that plays good football. I think Chelsea... when did I do this? Was it Friday night? I said Ollie's transfer battle. Sancho, Chelsea are a battle for. Werner, Liverpool and Chelsea. Grealish, if we're in for him, I think Chelsea would be in for him. Bellingham they're in for as well. There's a few players that we're looking at, that Chelsea are looking at. So you've got to be wary of that. And if Chelsea do get those players, I think Chelsea is similar to United in a way. We talk about momentum and growth, which I think we have got, but so have Chelsea. Mark, not United related, but what do you think about the man who was murdered by the police in the US since you served as a police officer? Well, Fabian, I mean, I just look at that, what's going on in America, and I know we get a lot of people watching from America, and I just think it's a sad situation. I think the bottom line is, a black man was murdered. Looking at what happened, that is just ridiculous. It's murder. It is murder, and he will surely get charged with murder. You cannot have that much pressure on someone's neck for that long when they're telling you not to do that, and then still have that pressure on there for a long time after he stopped moving. Look, the courts will listen to the case and the justifications, and look, I don't know how it works in America, but in this country we have a judicial system. It is innocent until proven guilty, and you've got to abide by those laws, of course. But I think when you see that evidence, I think you know it's only going to go one way. The rioting and everything like that, it's very sad. But look, at the end of the day, it's an expression of anger. It's an expression of anger. We had this in the UK about 10 years ago when I was in the police, actually, and it went on for about four days. And that started because of not a similar thing at all, but a black man was shot in London around Tottenham area, and this was the spark to cause a lot of the riots at the time that we had here. I just think that, look, I don't get involved in politics and stuff like that, but what I would say is that this is just how I look at it, and I don't know how anybody else looks at it, but there's a man that's been murdered there. You've got people rioting. Those two things are intrinsically linked together, and the government or the people in power in America and it's not the first time. This keeps happening a lot. The government in America, or whatever they're called, needs to actually get in tandem with the feeling of the people in their country and understand everybody's voice in that country, because at the moment it feels like there's a lot of frustration and anger in that country, that there seems to be quite clearly this separation and prejudice, racism, and it's wrong, and it's absolutely wrong. So it's very, very sad. And look, you know what? It's only a minor thing I'm about to say here, but you see thousands of people angrily protesting, and they're all mixed in together. And on top of that, we're in a pandemic, a global pandemic, and in this country, I look at that and I go, that's really horrible and sad. On top of that, all those people, if we are in a pandemic with coronavirus, they're probably spreading all that around as well. And I know that's a very secondary thought to why they're doing that, and they will all believe what they're doing is right. And who am I or anybody else to say that they're wrong? And it's a problem that needs to be resolved. But on top of that, we're in a pandemic as well. So, I mean, 2020, it's just unbelievably sad that some of the stuff that's going on. So, yeah, I think everybody looking at that is, and certainly from looking at your comments and social media, I think everybody is just stunned and shocked. But unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people in America are stunned and shocked, because they've seen too much of this. And I think, you know, it's not even enough is enough. It's about, this has to stop. So hopefully there'll be a way through it. But you know, with the president of America and the people he's got round of him, you just don't know how that's going to go. So I just hope that that we can find a way. We can find a way out of this, because you shouldn't have those things happening. You shouldn't have those things happening because of the colour of somebody's skin. Not in 2020, not in any time, but certainly not now. And it does happen too much. Traore, if we don't get Sancho, says Lux. I think he's an option. I do think he's an option. Ollie Chadwick, not sure we need a Koulibaly type, especially as he's slightly older, but is it worth getting him so Liverpool can't upgrade their last weakness? I don't know that Liverpool. Liverpool will not be in the Koulibaly race. I know we get a few Liverpool fans and fans of other clubs watching here. And thanks everyone for tuning in this morning. We've got nearly 4,000 people watching, so please smash a like on the video and subscribe if you're new. Top right hand corner, 698,000. We're pushing for 700k. The United Stand community will know I said this yesterday. We want to get 700,000 subscribers before football comes back, because there are haters of fan content who say, Oh, you know what you're going to do now? You've got no football. You just need football. You're making money off the club. Well, there's not been any football for 3 months, and we've still had loads of content and conversation because we're a community. So please subscribe if you're new, bottom right hand corner, and share the video and help us get to that. Ollie isn't a great manager. My worry with him is if we do get in the Champions League in tactical games, he'll be way out of his depth. Can't see him lasting next season, says Sean Turner. I think that's a nice. It's not a nice. It's a thing to have, isn't it? It's a thing to assess over the future, because you can have all the best players in the world, but if you haven't got the right coach, it won't happen. But he deserves the opportunity he's got at the moment. I think we've seen an improvement since Bruno's come in. We should see an improvement with Pogba and Rashford. But even without Sancho over these next 9 games, you can't have Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Martial and still play counter-attacking football with 2 centre defensive midfielders. Like that's not. If you've got Pogba and Bruno spending most of their time in their own half, breaking up the play to hit balls over the top for Rashford and Martial, something's going wrong with United there. We've now got the players in Pogba and Bruno to be progressive, hold and keep the ball and push teams back. That's what I want to see over the next 9 games. I don't want to see this counter-attacking, hardly have any of the ball Manchester United. So that's a big thing over the next 9 games and over the next season or so as well. But I believe in Ollie as well, Michael Jones. I think we all do at the moment. I think we've all been through a very difficult time and are going through a very difficult time at the moment, that you need something to believe in. And the bottom line is, I tweeted this a couple of weeks ago, the lockdown sort of changed me at the moment. I think, I've never been through anything like this before, where your whole life is turned upside down and you're living inside your own house for 3 months. And I think things that you took for granted before, you suddenly value. And look, I'm not gonna not watch United game and see a mistake by a player and go, "You're prat," but it has made me more empathetic and relaxed and positive about things. How long that will last, I don't know. Probably not too long. I've got Burnley this afternoon, but I do believe and hope that Manchester United can do it. And whether it's a clean slate or a fresh start or turning a new page, I think a lot of United fans feel that. Whether Ollie deserves it or not, look, it's irrelevant, because he's going to get it. And if he fails this time, the evidence was there that he was never good enough anyway. And if he succeeds, we'll always look back on it and go, look how close he did to get. He did get close to being sacked. Definitely in January, it wasn't looking good, but he could do a Sir Alex and totally turn it around. Do you think if Messi didn't play for Barcelona, we would have won the 2 Champions League finals at score 7? I mean, they were a good team anyway, score 70, but no, they were a good team. They were well coached, those teams that beat us in the Champions League finals. I think we should have won the Rome final in 2009. I think the Wembley one, we probably wouldn't have won. We weren't good enough. We didn't have Ronaldo, and they still had a lot of good players. So yeah. Helen B says players are better than tactics. No. You've got 60 years of football that prove the other way. You can have a very good team and not win things. Real Madrid used to have a team full of Galacticos. They didn't win the league every year, and they didn't win the Champions League every year. So tactics are very important. And what do you think on Liverpool's race for Adama Traore, says Lahish? And I think a lot of people are mentioning Liverpool today about Koulibaly. They won't get him. Adama Traore, they won't get him. Liverpool will not spend any more than about £40 million this summer, and I think they want to spend that on Timo Werner. So I think Liverpool have been a very well-run club over the last 3 years, and it's proved them right. They bought nobody last summer, and they're going to win the league this year. So Liverpool have proven that you can get really good value in the market if you do your research and you check people's injury background and you check their suitability, basically the Moneyball system. And also they've proven that you don't actually need to buy any players to go and win the title when you miss out on it. So I don't think Liverpool are a club that's going to go, we need to buy Koulibaly, Werner and Traore this summer. They could do, anything's possible, but I doubt it. I don't think they'll spend anything more than 40 million. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you tune in at 8 o'clock tonight. We've got Ricky, Saeed and Adam on. It's always a good show, very interactive. Had chilli for dinner last night. Thanks, mate, says Lux. It's a cracking chilli. It's brilliant. Goldbridge Cooks chilli. Search it, watch it. The curry's lovely as well, but so's the chilli. Everything I've cooked's great, actually, but those two, I think, are my favourites. Link in the video description. I'm going to be live at about 2:30, 2 o'clock for my FIFA career mode. It's Burnley. Look, if you've never watched it before, just watch it. It'll be funny one way or the other. Whatever the result, it will have a reaction. And 5 o'clock today on the same channel, it's Jadon Sancho watch along Dortmund at Paderborn. Links in the video description if you're not aware of that channel. Just click it, subscribe, get your notifications on, and I'll see you a little bit later on. And of course, 8 o'clock, we're back on the United stand with the lads, and hopefully all of you lot. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video and make sure you subscribe. We're on that road to 700k, so share the video, subscribe, share it if you've already subscribed. And yeah, check out my channel a little bit later. Links in the video description. Speak to you later. Thanks to all the moderators. Thanks to everyone watching live. Fantastic to have nearly 4,000 watching live on a Sunday morning. And I'll speak to you all later.